But in terms of the money, very quickly, other reports came in saying that 150 is kind of the floor here. And all told, that the deal would be more than that. I will reference once again this Meltzer follow-up he had behind his paywall. And I will quote, Variety, which first reported the story, listed the deal at upwards of 150 million per year, taking everything into account. Sources close to the negotiations said it will wind up substantially over that figure on an annual basis, with all components figured in. The deal is for 3 years and a fourth-year option. The fourth year would be at a substantial increase in price, end quote. The number that I've seen kicked around is $185 million per year in terms of Andrew Zarian. In fact, there was a report by, WrestleVotes, however seriously you want to take that. They're kind of hit or miss, but Andrew Zarian backed up the WrestleVotes figure of 185 million. And Andrew Zarian, at least when it comes to these types of stories, is usually accurate. So what we have here is a deal that's somewhere between $150 million low end and $185 million per year high end. And, so we could look at this. I'll break it down this way, and then I'll hand this off to Rich. At $150 million, a 3-year deal would be worth $450 million. A 4-year deal would be worth $600 million. At $170 million, which was the previous number that John Orand claimed he saw on wrestling message boards.
Right.
That was the talk the last few weeks. 3 years would be $510 million. 4 years would be $680 million.
And Sports Business Journal, we should say too, they had that 170 as well. So Variety had the 150,
Okay.
Sports Business Journal had the 170, and Dave Meltzer said significantly over that figure is kind of his thing. And then you're saying what WrestleVotes / Zarian with the 185. But go on. Yeah, Sports Business Journal backs up the 170 though.
Yeah, the number we're hearing, the high-end number we're hearing is 185. So the 170 figures are the ones that we based our analysis on the flagship on last week. And then the 185 would be $555 million a year over 3 years and $740 million over 4 years. And that's not accounting for what Meltzer says the fourth year would be at a substantial increase in price. We'll leave that out of this. When you take those 6 figures and very unscientifically average them out, AEW is getting somewhere around $589 million per year. Not per year, $589 million total. If you average out those 6 potential different deals with the low end estimate, the high end estimate, and then the 170, which had been kicked around previously, and as Rich just noted, was backed up by Sports Business Journal. So somewhere around $600 million total value on average, if you take all 6 of these figures, which, as we noted last week on the flagship, and we won't waste our time doing it again and going through all the math, absolutely makes them solvent and profitable at this point, based on all previous estimates by people like Dave Meltzer and Brandon Thurston on their estimating their balance sheets and whatnot. And I also should note, and I swear I'm going to hand this off to Rich.
You're
for some
good. You're
additional
good.
details.
Go ahead. Go for it.
I'm also going to note that the unknown pay-per-view portion of this, where it appeared, hey, look, they might get 170, but it might include swallowing up all pay-per-view revenue. That does not appear to be the case. The pay-per-views will be being offered on Max, and they're going to be pushed strongly. People are going to be pushed strongly to order them on Max. But the way I'm understanding this deal is that the pay-per-views will not exclusively be on Max.
Correct. And they tried to emphasize that a lot in a lot of the press releases and stuff. The way that they sort of worded it, and Dave Meltzer officially confirmed it, like you said, his subscriber report was great. He tied up a lot of loose ends. But what was essentially said is that the advertising and promotion will be exclusively geared towards Max. Essentially, AEW is going to tell you, oh, you got to get this thing on Max. You got to get this thing on Max. You got to get this thing on Max. But it will still be available on Triller, if it's still around, obviously, at that point. Pay-per-view.com, traditional pay-per-view, all that sort of stuff. But most of the marketing that's going to be done on AEW television is going to try to steer you towards Max, which is going to have it offered at a discounted rate. So you can still do traditional pay-per-view if you want, but if you're a Max subscriber, obviously you would want to buy it on Max because you're going to get it at a lower rate. So that's sort of the idea there. But yeah, they never said exclusively on Max, but that they were going to be exclusively advertising and marketing towards getting people to Max. So and that makes a lot of sense. That's ideally what you'd want to do. And that's a good deal if AEW got that, because you're going to say, hey, look, we would like to still kind of keep some of these potential revenue streams. I mean, hell, it was only a couple years ago that people were still buying like WWE pay-per-views on traditional pay-per-view, which was just wild to me, that you'd call, on your Xfinity remote, click over and purchase the WWE pay-per-view for $49 or whatever.
Some people still are.
Yeah, right. But you don't want to lose that potential stream if it's still there.
No. What makes this very good news for AEW is while they're going to lose some pay-per-view revenue to Max, because the presumption here is that if you buy these pay-per-views at the quote discounted price through Max, that Max is getting that money. That's part of this deal. But they retained the ability to sell their pay-per-views away from Warner Brothers Discovery. So they're not going to be, obviously it's going to cut into the pay-per-view revenue they're currently drawing, but they're retaining an unknown portion. We'll have to see how the splits work out when the time comes. They're
right. A lot of people assume that, just put it at zero. Just make that ledger point zero now, because all the pay-per-views are going to, and that's not the case.
No way. I didn't assume that at all.
Oh, no, I agree. I agree. I thought they were going to fight for that for sure, and they did.
Just, people who don't subscribe to Max are going to keep buying these pay-per-views the same way they're buying them now, through their cable systems. This idea that everyone's just going to start buying. What if you're not interested in what Max has to offer? What if you're not a Max subscriber? You're going to keep buying through pay-per-view. I think their pay-per-view revenue, at least at the start, and who knows what the world is going to look like in 3 years, is still going to be significant. I think it's still going to be significant. I'm going to tell you right now, depending what this quote-unquote discount is, because I do have Max, okay? Look, if the shows are $10 or something on Max, I might not be able to resist that, because that's $40 cheaper than what I'm paying on my DirecTV. But if they're like $40 on Max, I'm telling you right now, I'm spending the extra $10 and getting the pay-per-views through DirecTV, where I know it's reliable and I know I don't have to deal with streaming and buffering wheels and all that other assorted bullshit. Because you know how I am. That shit just frustrates me to no end. I'm willing to spend. So, then there's going to be people in my boat, which would be a smaller percentage, but people who don't have Max are going to keep buying the pay-per-views outside of Max. Now, what Max is hoping is that it entices you to subscribe to Max. That's why they're doing
Ideally,
this.
Yes.
Right. But the point here is the bigger picture conversation, that the bigger picture talking point here is that they're getting somewhere between $150 and $185 million per year with this media rights deal, and they're retaining a chunk of their pay-per-view revenues, which was the unknown factor last week. And I had just assumed that they wouldn't be retaining the pay-per-view. And even without retaining the pay-per-view, it seemed to be a very advantageous deal for them. But you go, all right, so it doesn't have quite as much value without the pay-per-view. Well, now they're retaining some of the pay-per-view too. And on top of that, they're still shopping this second media rights package around to the networks.